Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Musician, a coaching service, podcast, and blog preparing today's musician for tomorrow's realities. This is TEM226 titled Keeping a Growth Mindset. Quickly, I'd like to thank Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for TEM. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba Mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There are some workshops, some masterminds coming in January, which is like coming up on us here. It's in just a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for those. And I actually just wanted to take a second. This has absolutely nothing to do with being entrepreneurial, but I wanted to wish a slightly one day belated 100th birthday to Clark Terry, who was just an absolute monster. I got to see him play at his jazz festival up at UNH that I performed at when I was in high school. It was really special. I was listening to the Simple Waltz tonight, and his solo in the Simple Waltz has one of the coolest entrances to a solo and one of the coolest exits to a solo in the same solo, like ever. It's unbelievable. I mean, and the minute and a half in between the entrance and the exit are also cool, but it's just like, I don't know how you get into a solo better than that, and I don't know how you get out of a solo better than that. Check it out, The Simple Waltz by Clark Terry. All right. TEM 226, keeping a growth mindset. We have recently expanded our live video offerings from Pedal Note Media. That includes more Instagram live videos, and the process for that is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty limited. I mean, you can only do it from your phone, and when things are limited, it makes them pretty simple, right? So I've done a few IGTV posts in the last week at the at TEM coaching account, and those are going well. I'm getting some interaction. It's pretty cool. We've also decided to sign up for a multicasting service. When researching them, there's about what feels like 1,000 of them on the market, and they all do. If they all did the same thing, it would be easy. You just find like the biggest one that's not going to go out of business and the one that everybody says, yeah, you should go with this one. But they actually all do slightly different things, and the pricing is just different enough. And then it makes it very overwhelming. I finally bit the bullet and settled on Caster, which is CASTR. And for reference, we are on the Broadcast Infinity plan, which is $40 a month. And that's up to 5 destinations at once. And you get all of the chat is unified in one place, it's really cool. You get to interact on multiple platforms at one time with one stream all coming out of Zoom. And we've been doing a weekly hang on Sundays, Lance LeDuc and I, for the Brass Junkies. We very creatively have called it Brass Junkies Sundays. We're so creative, it's crazy. It's at 7 p.m. each week on Sundays. And I logged in this past Sunday, and I set up Caster to stream to the Brass Junkies Facebook page, the Pedal Note Media Facebook page, my Andrew Hitz Artist Facebook page, and to the Brass Junkies YouTube channel. I set all that up like the first time I'd ever used it in like 20 minutes or so, which was awesome. The next night, I tried to do the same thing for TEM, but swapping out the Brass Junkies page and YouTube channel for the TEM ones. And I could not get the TEM YouTube channel to work. I spent a long time in the chat. It's pretty cool now that you can access help like right away. The problem is that those chat people are obviously not sitting there with nothing to do, waiting for you to bother them. They're dealing with 3, 5, however many customers at one time. So there's kind of a delay. So you get instant help, but it's slow. And but I spent a long time in the chat, and they were helpful. Bottom line, they told me that I'd have to wait 24 hours to get the TEM YouTube channel verified on the YouTube end for live streaming. So I came back tonight, the next night, and I spent another 45 minutes in the chat. And after all of that, it still wouldn't work. So I still haven't gotten it to work. They say it's on the YouTube end, and I believe them. But there's no one, you can't really call 1-800 YouTube and and like get someone on the phone. So I just have to punt on starting to stream to the TEM YouTube channel, which is something I'm ready to do. I really want to start that. I think it's going to be really good for my business. It's going to be good for my reach. I think it's going to lead to TEM coaching clients. I think it's going to lead to more people checking out the podcast. It's going to grow the channel, the YouTube channel, which is growing slowly. But I also haven't been doing episodes every week. That's an understatement, just because we're in a pandemic, and I got a 6-year-old who's doing online Spanish immersion first grade, and there's a lot of reasons why, right? So I'm ready to start that. Like, I've got the content. Let's go. And for the second night in a row, it has not happened at all. So I can approach this two different ways in my head. One is that I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I set this thing up successfully in 20 minutes, and it's not the easiest interface. And now I've spent probably pushing 90 minutes over 2 days, and I'm no closer to getting it resolved. And so I did it once, and then I couldn't do it again, even though I've spent like over 4 times as much time trying to figure it out. That's super annoying. Or two, I can acknowledge that I have only dipped my toe into this hugely complex world of streaming and multi-streaming, and just started using a brand new service that's really powerful, which means by definition complicated. And of course, I'm not going to be able to successfully problem solve everything on the spot. I was mentioning that Instagram, both Instagram Live and then Instagram TV, IGTV, that whole thing, it has to be on your phone. It's very simple. There's not a lot of options. One of my favorite podcasters, Leo Laporte, I believe he still has a weekly call in, like, that's on terrestrial radio, technology show, and he has a lot of people that call in that have like very basic technology questions. He's been doing this for a long time. And I've heard him talk more than once about the fact that people complain that Photoshop is really hard to use. And what he always says is that Photoshop is the most powerful photo editor that exists today. So, of course, it's complicated, because for someone like me, now I bet he gets a lot less of those now than he did 5 years ago, because like the Snapseed app on my phone can do a crazy amount of things. I mean, in terms of cropping and adjusting and filters and all of that stuff, which is just like tapping and pinching, right? I mean, anybody can learn how to use that thing, but people used to complain. And so this caster program is it's very powerful. So it's not the most, and it's not that complicated, but it's also not that simple, right? When I bring a growth mindset to the table here, I easily identify with that second option, which is that I've just dipped my toe into this really complex world. And whenever I bring that growth mindset, then of course, I realize, like, I don't have to remind myself. I know that I'm learning, and that admission allows me to give myself space to try and fail and succeed and then fail some more and just keep moving forward. And I also don't, at that point, when I have a growth mindset, I don't feel entitled to linear progress. I have struggled to help students with this sometimes, and I've struggled with it myself sometimes, especially when I was younger. Something I think you just have to work through on a human level. But like, my tuba playing can be getting better and better. Like, if I'm practicing a piece or a lick over time, and then all of a sudden there's a day where it takes a step back, and it can be like, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Etc. There's nothing wrong. You're not entitled to it being a little bit better each day, even if the graph ends up looking like this, right? It's like, it is absolutely going up. You might have one data point that's above, and then you might have one that's below. And if you just look at those two, there's like a big drop there from Tuesday to Wednesday. But nobody's entitled to linear progress, whether that's learning new technology, or hosting podcasts, or growing a music business consulting business. That had the word business in it twice, in uncomfortable proximity. Yeah, you want to talk about that, about linear, but boy, before the pandemic, TEM coaching was taking off. It really was. For me, it's not like I was like, making 10,000 bucks a week, but there were new clients coming in, and it was good. Yeah, times were a good, it was like the roaring 20s. And then the pandemic hit, and I am still getting new clients, and things are kind of like back on the rebound, but understandably, like the world stopped, right? I mean, people didn't have the mental space to be reaching out for music business consulting, and so many people were justifiably, and still are. I don't mean to make any of this sound like it's past tense. It's not. It's just like there was like a little while where like everybody was completely screwed mentally and otherwise, and that's still the case for a lot of people. And also my mental health in this pandemic has not been has not been linear. That's I wish my wife was down here, because she would come and nod her head with just enough enthusiasm that it would make some of you laugh and some of you uncomfortable. But yeah, I just have to bring a growth mindset to this thing, right? And then I got to keep moving forward. When I bring a fixed mindset, then I catch myself saying things like the dreaded SH word, which is should. Like I did this yesterday, and therefore I should be able to do it again today. Or even worse, like I did it the first time and then I couldn't do it the second time. Like, what is wrong with me? Or I start saying unhelpful things like, well, it's a good thing I play the tuba well, or things like that, which sometimes I can mean to myself in a really mean way. Otherwise, it's not helpful, right? It's just like for me, negativity in others tends to bring it out in me, and I can be all alone in a room with my thoughts, and negativity tends to bring on more negativity. And so that fixed mindset means that if I can't figure this damn multi-streaming thing out tonight, that I am then going to be a little bit negative or wake up bummed out about it. Yeah, which is just it's everything is about mindset. I saw a very small amount because I was on I was on dad duty, and then I actually had a meeting for the Mockingbird Foundation, which is a charity I'm on the board of directors of that I'm fiercely proud of. But I had about like a 15-minute window where I got to catch a very small glimpse of a presentation tonight that was led by former TEM guest Mike Nickens, who's a dear friend, and he had Phil Snedeker as a co-host who is brilliant. He's a trumpet player, so please do not tell him that I said he was brilliant, because I'll never hear the end of it. But and Phil is a dear friend too. They were speaking about ways to be relevant as musicians in 2020 and the tools needed to accomplish that. It was really good. I wish I had seen the whole thing, and I hope that they were recording it because it was awesome. And if they did, I will absolutely throw up a link on TEM blog at tem.fm/blog. So fingers crossed that they did record that. One of the many things, one of the many hats that Phil Snedeker wears is that he plays trumpet with the Harrisburg Symphony. And he has become the guy who makes videos for them. He actually started doing that before the pandemic. So this was not just something that he started in, late March, when every arts organization in the world was like, how do we stay relevant, and then they desperately had to find some people. He became the video guy, like, I don't know, a year or two ago, and he's really good at it, like really good. He's an incredibly creative musician. He's also a trumpet operator. He's wonderful. He's a wonderful writer. He's a very creative entrepreneur. I mean, he's very creative. So his videos are very creative. Like what he does with them, it's not just that he is able to put together, edit together a few different people and make like a good video. There's creativity around it. He took us inside the process for a few minutes during the chunk of this presentation that I got to see. And he showed how he used the video editor to move shots around, like, inside of the larger shot. And it was all very complex, and it was impressive. And he said something that really stuck out when talking about how he learned how to do all of this complicated video editing stuff, because he knew nothing about this. I think it was 2 years ago. It might have been a year ago. Although the pandemic has now been like close to a year. So when I say like it might have been a year ago, To me, it's almost like that means that it was 3 months ago, which it's not what it means, but it's like these 9 months have barely even counted. So I'm sure it was probably 2 or 3 years ago that he took this over. But he said, and I quote, all it takes is time and will. And that's it. You just need to want it badly enough to spend the time to learn how to acquire the skill. It's literally that simple. You have to make the time. There are a number of you who are listening to my voice right now who are way busier right now in life and in the pandemic than I am. That's a fact. There are a number of you who are busier than I am, and this is not a competition. But I'm super busy right now. I mean, I'm just like it just feels like I'm never quite off the clock, which is totally not accurate, by the way. And there are some people who are truly not off the clock, but it feels that way to me, right? So I'm recording right now. It is 11:52 p.m. and that's when I'm recording a TEM episode because I'm just getting it done. I also haven't been doing one every week, and that's okay too. But the point is that you got to make the time, you got to have the will, and you got to be patient with yourself. But that's how he learned to make excellent videos. So if I want to figure out this multi-streaming thing, I will figure out this multi-streaming thing. And if not, then I'll bail. But I want to figure it out. Yesterday would be great if I could have figured that out because I would have already have one or two really great short videos up on YouTube. I already would have tweeted about them. I already would have posted about them on my blog. Blah blah blah. But welcome to reality, right? You have to abandon all hope for a better past. I was once told by a very wise man. And so since that didn't happen, I'll be back tomorrow to try again. So look for a bunch of live TEM coaching chats, as I am calling them, on Instagram, on the TEM Facebook page, and on the new TEM YouTube channel. And while you're there, subscribe. It would be awesome if you could do that. I'm going to really be ramping up, the streaming video type content, and I'll be taking questions, and I'll be doing some Q&As or AMAs, I think, as the kids call them, although I don't even know if that's a kid term. So anyway, thank you to everyone for listening, subscribing, leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get TEM, and simply for your attention, the most valuable commodity any of us have to give. TEM is produced by Will Houchin and is a part of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. The theme music for TEM is played by Ben Barron, Rich Kelly, Daniel Lapel, and myself, Andrew Hitz. For show notes, the TEM blog, and to learn more about TEM coaching, please visit our new website, tem.fm. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And please subscribe to our new YouTube channel. And that's going to do it for another episode of The Entrepreneurial Musician.